If you only collect basketball cards and were collecting in the early 90s, you probably have quite a few classic brand basketball cards just lying around, and you're not really sure where they came from. These classic cards, they were overprinted, not very valuable. They kind of tended to float between dealers and collectors quite freely, both in terms of motion and in price. Classic cards were produced before 1991, but this year, 91, it marks their first appearance in the basketball market. Basketball card collectors might not have been very familiar with them before this. Classic produced a 50 card draft set that focused on basketball. And that's not where this card comes from. This is from the 1991 Classic 4-Sport set. It's another classic set containing basketball cards from that year. Now, you wouldn't know it just looking at the card. There's nothing to indicate that it's from a multi-sport set. So, as a basketball card collector, if you stumble on a 1991 Classic card, let's clear some things up so you know what it is. You have to think, is it a 1991 Classic Draft, or is it from this 1991 Classic 4-Sport? See, the regular 91 Classic Draft set has 50 cards. This 91 Classic 4-Sport set has 230. 50 versus 230. Here's how that 4-Sport set was made. Classic took their 4 different sets of 91 draft cards. See, they had a set of 50 basketball cards. They made 50 baseball, 50 football, and there were 50 hockey cards. Those were the different classic draft sets from 91. They combined all of those. So you're up to 200 now. They used different photos. There were some minor design changes, and that's what made this 4-Sport set. Then they added 30 more cards above that 200. 5 of those cards, for basketball collectors, you'll want to know this. They feature this one-on-one game between Billy Owens and Larry Johnson. Really neat. Classic was using that game for publicity, but it's in that set. 5 cards there. So, let's say you see something like this Anthony Avent card. Well, look, on the back. You see, this is card number 157. So already, with that information, you know this is from the 4-Sport set, since the regular only has 50 cards. By the way, Anthony Avent, he was pick number 15, the Atlanta Hawks. You see that there. So the second way that you know this is from the 4-Sport set is this blue-gray border on the card. Look how much blue is in there. If you have a basketball card from the regular draft set, there's no blue. It's gray. Just gray. You won't have to question it. Gray border. Next, these 4-Sport cards. They have a red seal with the brand name. Classic. Right up there. Now, the regular draft set, that Classic logo on the front, it looks like this. See? The yellow and green. And then there's real small print around it that says Premier Edition, because it was Classic's first year dabbling in basketball cards. So that logo is different. So now you can very quickly identify a 1991 Classic basketball card without any confusion. There's a lot of differences. You know whether it's from the draft pick set or whether it's from the 4-Sport set. Let's look at the back just to look at it. They're very generic backs. We have the college statistics here, and honestly, very forgettable text about the player. You can browse it there if you want. Nothing memorable, nothing important, unfortunately. Here's Anthony Avent's stats for Seton Hall. See, he played for them 3 years. By the way, this year, where the numbers are looking really good. Yeah, maybe not. He played in the NCAA championship game in 1989. And now, see, it was 90-91 where his numbers were solid. He was getting better. But he did play in that 1989 championship game against Michigan. So, yeah, that's neat. I mean, he made it that far. Some other trivia, though, about this 4-sport set that you might not be aware of. There's a French version of the set. So, yeah, I don't know why you really be so interested in that unless you're a completist for certain players. You know, you want every card. Like Brett Favre, he's in this set. Manny Ramirez is in this set. So, you know, if you're really looking for every card, you better find that French version of the 1991 Classic 4-Sport. And, you know, chase that down. Collectors with this set, you'd be more interested to know that there were autographs that Classic put into the packs. 60,000 of them. 60,000. Only 61 of the players signed, making all those cards. And about 2/3 of those players, they were hockey players, mostly. So, really, if you're a hockey collector, you're probably a lot more familiar with this set than most of us. As I said, lots of these cards printed. They say there were 25,000 cases of the regular 4-sport cards, about 5,000 cases of the French cards. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little discussion about 1991 Classic in terms of basketball card collecting. Just so you know, Classic draft picks, Classic 4-sport, very clear division. As Classic continued in later years, you'd have a lot of inserts that would appear, a lot of promo cards. It really gets cluttered to keep track of. And the value just isn't there in terms of, you know, the time needed to keep track of them. But 1991, very clear here. Draft picks, 4-sport. Now you know the difference. Hey, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.